Okay, so I've gathered all of my supplies, grabbed my base piece of paper and a few pieces of scrap paper. I'm going to start by folding over both sides. That way I know where the center of my base paper is. I'm going to cut out a teeny tiny square and glue it right in the middle, right where all of those lines meet in the center. And now every other piece of scrap paper that I cut is going to be cut in straight lines. I'm going to start by just cutting little pieces of fringe and cut them all at the same time. So just cutting up and down and then cutting them all off at the same time. And I'm going to start to glue these following my square pattern. So going up and down and then side to side on top and then up and down again and side to side on bottom. Now it's okay if these overlap. And it's okay if I leave a little bit of the blue background showing, but I want to fill up as much of my square as I can, following in this square pattern. So using lines to create the shape of a square, going back and forth until my entire square is full. Now when I paint on my glue, I'm painting it on the back just a little bit at a time, making sure it's fully covered, but there's no big white gulps left on top of it. That way I don't have glue spilling out of the edges of my pieces. So I'm continuing going across the entire piece, side to side and up and down, following the same pattern of my little square in the center. And I'm going back and forth using just 2 colors and then my pattern piece of paper. And you don't have to do any specific pattern with this, and you don't have to do any specific line, shape, or length. So you can have chunkier lines or thinner lines, longer lines or shorter lines. You can mix it up like I'm mixing it up and fill up your entire space with different lines of different colors. And if you're looking at it and you think you could use another color, it's always okay to go back to the scrap bin and add in another color to your square. But start small, maybe with 2 or 3 ideas, 2 or 3 pieces of scrap paper. And if you're looking at it, you think it needs another color, go add another color. So I'm taking my time, filling up my entire space. We want to make sure it looks nice and neat and everything is in straight lines. Nothing's going in a diagonal. I'm matching the lines of my base square. So I went ahead and zoomed out the edges. That way I could get those covered and then work my way in so I can get rid of these longer pieces that I've cut to start with. Now, here's me deciding that I think it could use another color. I was getting a little too many of the same colors close to each other, so I added in this darker blue purpley color, and I thought that was a really good idea. And I'm painting these in, kind of filling those gaps where my pinks were about to touch and my yellows were about to touch, and filling in all of those spaces. Again, it's okay if you can see some of your base square, but you don't want too much of that base square showing. You want to make sure you have filled as much space as possible with your lines. You can start to see my square shape coming to life, and once I'm done, here it is.